And today we're talking about QuickBooks Desktop versus QuickBooks Online, the advantages of each and the downsides to each, the pros and cons. If you've been paying attention at all to what Intuit is saying today, they're laser focused on QBO like it's their only product for sale today. If you go to QuickBooks.intuit.com on their website, it's all about QBO. You have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page to find information on the various flavors of QuickBooks Desktop, Pro, Premier, Enterprise. It's truly like those products aren't even being developed anymore by Intuit. And if you're at their QB Connect event in San Jose last year in November, you would have been hard-pressed to even hear the word desktop, despite the fact that desktop is the lion's share of their revenue. The fact is, however, that about 30% of their current desktop users, according to one of their senior VPs, Dan Warnikoff, is truly ready to convert to QBO. It's not to say that QBO isn't a solid product. It's just simply that QBO doesn't have all the bells and whistles that a lot of folks are used to today and are able to use today to run their businesses. One of the big reasons Intuit is pushing QBO so strongly is that it's much cheaper for them as a software development organization to build QBO versus desktop. So despite all of the static and what you're hearing on the contrary, it's actually cheaper for the end user, for all of you, if you're using QuickBooks, to stick with desktop if you update desktop every 2 or 3 years or so. And there's lots of content out there, blogs and articles and so forth that speak to this. There's a really good one by Nancy Smythe. She talks about the cost of QBO versus QuickBooks Desktop. According to her, you'll save over $500 over a 3-year period by sticking with desktop versus QBO. But today, I'm going to go into some of the, kind of the pros and cons of each of the products. They certainly each have their own pros and cons, and then I'll talk a bit about what Cloud9 can do to host desktop QuickBooks. So it's going to be about 25, 30 slides or so. It shouldn't take more than 40 minutes. And first off, I just want to tell you a little bit about who we are. So we're a US-based company headquartered in San Diego. We've been licensed by Intuit as a commercial hosting provider in the United States and Canada for quite a long time. So we've been hosting QuickBooks for years and years. And there aren't too many companies that are commercial hosts. So if you're looking to put desktop in the cloud, you definitely want to make sure you're with a Intuit certified commercial host. On top of that, we're an accredited managed service provider, and what that means is we provide really soup-to-nuts service. So we build custom virtual servers and shared servers, install the software for you, move all the data to the cloud for you, and then give you access, and then we provide support, ongoing support, so that it's truly managed from beginning to end, and you really can eliminate some of your IT resources that spend time working on software updates, managing your data, and that kind of thing, because we're going to do that for you as a MSP, as a managed service provider. Our data centers are SOC 2 SSAE 16, which just simply means that they're the highest quality, highest security, redundancies in place, that kind of thing. We've won a number of awards, and we've been building custom cloud solutions for businesses since 2000, so we have been around quite a while. What is cloud computing, right? So I like to do this, just show a slide to make sure everyone has the same baseline. So it's really a metaphor for the internet, right, combined with computing. All of your virtual servers and software is online, so you can actually access it from anywhere, and you don't need need technology experts to help you do that at your location, at your office, because a company like Cloud9 and other cloud providers are going to be doing that for you. So you get the benefits that of a small business that big companies have, that have those massive IT organizations, systems, and support. There are different flavors of cloud as well. There's desktop as a service, there's infrastructure as a service, and there's even platform as a service. Really what we're talking about today, we're talking about hosting QuickBooks in the cloud, desktop in the cloud. It's really desktop as a service. So it's delivering their desktop experience from the cloud. Now, what is the cloud made of, right? It's a number of different things make up the infrastructure of the cloud. You've got network appliances like switches and routers. You have the software applications that are, have the data that are providing you the functionality you need from those applications, the servers that are doing the application delivery, and then the storage where your data sits, right? The disks and so forth. And the cloud, is redundant most of the time. You definitely want to have multiple systems in place, and that's what makes the cloud so ironclad and such of high value. So if one particular data center goes down, for example, there's another data center that is there to continue to host your applications and deliver your data wherever you are, and also automatic backups, of course, right? So all of your data is being backed up. You don't have to actually manage those backups. It's all happening for you without having to think about it. And it's massive, right? So it's thought today that there's over $450 billion spent on the cloud infrastructure today for the cloud, and that's just going up. It's certainly here to stay. I mean, my personal life, for example, we use the cloud for entertainment, and many of you probably do as well, like Netflix and Hulu and some of those types of streaming entertainment applications are truly a godsend. I mean, we've cut our cable bill completely, so we don't pay for cable anymore. We just get content and entertainment when we want it, anytime we want it, anywhere we want it, and we don't pay for things, programs, and so forth that we don't need. And that's really where the cloud is going for business applications too. The cloud is massive in terms of the number of users. You can see it's truly skyrocketing. Today there's said to be about 1 billion users and growing. And if you look at some of the demographics of where these people are, a lot of them are just in the Western countries, U.S., Canada, Western Europe. Some of the larger Asian countries like India, for example, and China, who have the largest populations in the world, haven't really embraced the cloud yet. Their technology isn't there yet. But imagine when those larger population centers start embracing the cloud, that's truly going to push these numbers over the top and probably expand the number of services available in the cloud as well. So if you talk about QuickBooks QBO, QuickBooks Online, and QBD, QuickBooks Desktop, there's really, there's been a debate over the last few years about, where this is going. And from Intuit's CTO, it's clear that desktop isn't going away. It's clear that, however, as I talked initially in the opening slide, they are truly investing most of their money into QuickBooks Online. But you can see the quote here. They're going to continue to offer desktop because that's what users are asking for. That's what users want. So they're going to have to continue to invest in QuickBooks Desktop. So, you know, we get this all the time because it's a big part of our business. We host QuickBooks Desktop, and you know, if that went away, how would that impact our business? We host several hundred applications as well, but it is an important business driver for us. So certainly, it's in our interest to host desktop, but we're keeping an eye on this debate and this trend. It's you know, desktop definitely isn't going away, but you're going to definitely see QuickBooks Online continue to improve. So if you want to look at the features of each, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about it because you can certainly get these features and some of the pros and cons from Intuit. But from our perspective, what we've seen with our users who come to us looking to host desktop, who many of them have moved away from QuickBooks Online for one reason or another. Usually it's lack of functionality, you know, scalability, it's slow, or some other reason. But we do have a unique perspective because we do see, you know, we're right in the middle of this debate, and we do see the pros and cons of each. So, you know, obviously QuickBooks Online, you're going to get anywhere, anytime access. There is limited mobile device access to QuickBooks Online, though. You just don't have as good of a user experience with a mobile device like an iPhone, for example. You tend to have slower speeds. I know this is one of the things that Intuit's working on. If you want multiple user access, you're going to want at least Essentials that supports up to 3 users, and then 5 users on Plus. And you know, it's web-based, of course, and you can download or import bank and credit transactions. With desktop, you know, you get all the features you get with the desktop version of QuickBooks that you're used to today. So all of these things you're going to get just like you do with your desktop version of QuickBooks Pro, Premier, Enterprise, etc. Now, one of the major differences is that, you know, with desktop in the cloud, just like QuickBooks Online, access anywhere, anytime, right? And automatic backups. And in the desktop version, you're typically going to get better mobile performance as well. So, for example, if you're using an application like RD Client on iPhone or Android devices, you can truly access your QuickBooks from your phone using an environment like Cloud9, because we can deliver that to you in a much better manner on the technology side, so the performance is much better. But back to kind of the features of each QuickBooks Online. So as far as inventory goes, only in the Plus version of QuickBooks Online do you get the inventory tracking and the ability to create purchase orders. Desktop, of course, track inventory and create purchase orders, build assemblies, and advanced inventory with Enterprise. And again, we host all versions of QuickBooks Desktop. So Pro, Premier, Enterprise, Accountants Edition, POS, you name it. As far as expenses and sales, here are some of the differences. And I'm going to send these slides out afterwards, by the way, if you request them. If you want to see any of this content, I'll have that for you. Enter bills, pay bills, and track expenses with QBO, track sales, sales tax, customer payments on the desktop. You know, more robust features. Change orders on estimates is a big functionality benefit you get with desktop hosted. On the reporting side, so QBO, one-click financial sales and tax reports, but that's only on Essentials. So if you have the lighter version, it's not going to be supported. Forecast sales and expenses, of course, and then on desktop you've got a lot of additional options there. So again, much more robust and a lot more functionality on the reporting side. So the reporting, as far as adding comments goes, this is a nice feature that folks often like about the desktop version. Makes reports easier to interpret using this comment field to capture a report comment, providing the accounting professional with much better communication and sharing information with your client. So there's just better ability to communicate when your client is logging in and looking at the comments that you can provide in the report. So go into the again the pros and then the cons of desktop first. So desktop version, easy to use interface, no internet required, includes auto calculators. You can prepare 1099s, mileage tracking, advanced reports. Integrates cleanly with POS, complete job costing, more robust customization on reports than you get with QBO, without a doubt. So the downsides to desktop, of course, is you install the software, you have to run the updates, and you have to perform maintenance. There's no tech support. You have to support it yourself typically. It's hard to share files. You have to actually email them back and forth with clients typically, or you have to go to a client location. One user license, and it doesn't have great integration with other applications to provide a more robust functionality for you. So QBO pros, different, right? So it's much easier to set up in some cases and subscribe. You just go to a website and log in, and you're online. You can import data from desktop. No upgrades. It's automatically upgraded all of the time for you. You get pretty decent security. 128-bit encryption is included. Access to QBO from any computer. You have an internet connection. I talked about upgrades. You can grant access to bookkeepers very easily, and includes support. I've heard good and bad things about the support. As far as the downsides go, so lack of desktop features, no PO or inventory tracking, limited reports, we talked about that. When there's heavy internet traffic, you can have downtime potentially, right? Because it is a cloud solution. It's software as a service that is being delivered to you. So you are limited by that that internet pipe that you have in your location. There have been some issues with QBO. There was a breach fairly recently, but I think they've improved some of their security. And really, QBO at the end of the day, and anyone will tell you this, and most of you know, it works best for relatively simple companies that don't have very sophisticated needs. There's no integration with QB POS. Doesn't offer QB bill pay. QuickBooks Online has limited, no job costing or limited job costing. Inventory tracking is challenging, to say the least. If you need another company file, you would need a separate QBO subscription, and neither Simple Start or Essential supports preparing or printing 1099s. So you'd have to have QBO Plus, the Plus version for preparing or printing 1099s, which is another cost. So Plus today, if you go to the QBO website, is around $40 as the starting cost. So if you want to print or prepare 1099s, you're paying $40 a month. Simple Start, on the other hand, starts at around I think it's $13 per month. So obviously it's cheap, but if again you've got those more sophisticated needs, you're going to need to go on up to the more expensive versions of QBO. So hosted desktop QuickBooks, if we're hosting it for you, access anytime, anywhere. Multiple users can access files simultaneously. There's no additional cost for that, unless you want concurrent access to a file. If you want to work on a file at the same time, you would each need your own username and password. Updates and backups, upgrades occur automatically. Support's included, of course. It connects to any online banking. It will integrate with any third-party application. Inclusive features like invoice and reporting automation, and the encryption is higher than QBO. It's 256-bit encryption versus 128. 256 is the same level encryption as online banking. So if you're using any sort of online banking today, which pretty much everyone I know uses online banking, it's as secure as that. So half that security level with QBO as desktop. And then maybe the biggest obstacle for some people to going to QBO is that QuickBooks Desktop hosted, so we're hosting the desktop version for you. It's exactly like your desktop version, right? Because it's the same application. It's just being installed on a remote server. You're accessing it via the internet. So it has the same bells and whistles, the same exact interface. So you're not having to learn a new application like you are with QBO. It's exactly like QuickBooks Desktop. It's the same application. So more pros, users enter data directly into QuickBooks. So you don't have to send data back and forth to the client like some folks do via email by sending files that way, or having to go to a client locations. All the features available on the QuickBooks desktops are available through QuickBooks hosting, QuickBooks Desktop hosting, I should say. Everything. So that includes reports, graphs, and any customization they may have done. Some of the cons for desktop, these two certainly. So you do have a monthly $5 Intuit fee. Intuit charges all hosting companies $5 for them to host that for their clients. It's kind of interesting they get away with this. And of course you need internet. Most people already have internet, but you do want to have sufficient internet. So you want to have at least 3 megabit per second to get decent speed working in QuickBooks when you're hosting it. And most people have that. You can test your internet by going to www.speedtest.net. So speedtest.net, that'll give you a real-time test of your internet, so you can actually see how it compares to what you really need. But most likely you've got that unless you're in a rural location where the internet isn't that fast. Now, if you upgrade QuickBooks every year, it can get costly. We do offer leasing of QuickBooks, so that's certainly an option. And this is, I think, one of the cons to QuickBooks Desktop. If you do have to update it every year, it gets costly, whereas QBO is automatically updated for you. But again, we can lease you a version. It runs a fee of around $15 per user per month, on up to much more than that if you wanted to host a version of, let's say, QuickBooks Enterprise. It's going to run around $50 to $60 per user a month for Enterprise. But any version of QuickBooks can be leased from a hosting provider like Cloud9. So kind of boil down desktop versus hosted desktop QuickBooks. They're the same. They're truly the same. They work. They work great for just giving you more flexibility, more collaboration, because you can access them from anywhere. So it allows you to work collaboratively. Easier to work with third-party applications. Of course, the debt disaster recovery is included, automatic backups, the support's included. So if you look at the side by side in a chart like this, you can see how they compare. Again, I'm going to send this out, so if you guys do want to have this, you can. QuickBooks Online, if you see there, the $39.95. So that's for the the most robust version of QBO. All the way to the right is what something like Cloud9 is offered. So we're hosting QuickBooks Desktop there. It starts at $40 per month. And again, we can host an unlimited number of files, company files, access anywhere, anytime, automatic backups, restore backups, access via mobile device. There's no additional cost for that. The speed, again, as long as you have a decent internet pipe, the speed should be faster than what you're going to see with a QBO or even a Xero solution, or running QuickBooks Desktop on your local computer typically, because you are streaming QuickBooks Desktop from a very powerful server. Yes, it is remote, but it's a much faster server most likely than what you're going to have on your local desktop. So your local desktop computer really just becomes a dummy terminal. So as long as it can have, have the latest version of Internet Explorer and the other software, the desktop OS software, operating system software, it should run fine any of these desktop hosted applications. And again, as long as the internet speed is sufficient. More diagrams here to show you how they differ. Easily find and locate inventory tasks one place with Inventory Center, and you only get that with desktop and hosted desktop. Much better financial sales and tax reports in desktop and hosted desktop. Track your balance sheet by class. You can't do that with online yet, as far as I know. Forecast sales and expenses only in desktop. Import data from different applications like Excel, Office, and other versions of QuickBooks versions. So you can import and export, obviously, in desktop and hosted desktop, but export only today in QBO. But QuickBooks is just the beginning, right? So Cloud9, we can host over 700 different applications in the cloud. And what we do is we usually build a custom server for each of our customers. So each one is scoped and built just for them. You have access to all of your software data from any device with an internet connection. And if you go to our website, which is being revamped finally, so you'll see a new website from us in the next several weeks, you can see some of the apps we host. But truly, we can host anything, any application, as long as it runs on Windows Server 2008 or Windows Server 2012. So anything that runs on those versions of Windows Server, we can put in the cloud. You can access from anywhere. And the 700 apps we host, many of them are in accounting, but we have about 40% of our customers in other verticals like retail, nonprofit, and some other areas that have very specialized software. And again, we can host it. And we do have customers who do have QBO and do have other SaaS software. And they like to work with Cloud9 because we know that SaaS application, it may or may not have an integration with QuickBooks, but a lot of our customers do have a desktop application along with various other SaaS applications, so they like to use Cloud9 as their central point of contact for support. So they call us, and our techs typically know all about that SaaS application and how it plays with QuickBooks and how it plays with the other applications we're hosting. So they really like to leverage us for our expertise in being able to troubleshoot and help them with that application. So it's not just the application hosting, it's also the expertise that we have with these applications and the ability to support them anytime, anywhere. And that's it, guys. So Thanks so much for attending the call today. These are some of the other applications that we host. But I really want to thank you for being on the call. I can send you out the slides again if you would like. Just go ahead and email me at driggins, D-R-I-G-G-I-N-S, at cloud9realtime.com, and I'll get those out to you. And then also I'd like to tell you about our user summit coming up here in August. We have a user summit in San Diego, again in August. It's at Paradise Point. I'd encourage you, if you do have interest in learning more about Cloud9 and some of the things that we talked about today, would love to get you there. Again, you can learn more by going to www.cloudfest2015.com. So cloudfest2015.com, and you can read about that user summit. And also, if you're not a customer, we'd love to get you there just to meet the staff and learn more about the cloud. There are 4 educational tracks that are, again, listed at cloudfest2015.com, and you can read about more of it there. And again, thanks so much for your time, and have a great day.